All right. Well, good morning, Facebook. Good morning, LinkedIn, Periscope, Twitter, soon to be Instagram, YouTube. Once we share that, we are live this morning with Mr. Keith Viken from Keith Viken. I gave you a new name, Keith. Keith Viken from Weichert Realtors. Keith, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. How about you guys self?
Doing good. Absolutely. Well, right now we just went live. I'm gonna share the page of what we're going to be talking about today. Last week on our podcast, Carlos brought up Google for Business, and could think of no one instantly more than you, Keith, on the Google for Business and claiming your Google business and talking about that topic. I think it's a little almost over 2 years ago, where you introduced that to Rosie and myself at one of the Realtor training sessions. And I'm embarrassed to say I haven't set it up yet, but after today's session, I'll have it set up.
Hey, it takes time. It takes time for you. You got to just gradually get everything.
It does.
You got to start with the Facebook, and then you go. Now you got everything. So this is the next step.
That's right. It's a progression. So I agree completely. But thank you for having patience with me, guys. So Keith, let's start off. Why don't you introduce yourself, what you do, all that good stuff, who you are, and all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, as you know, I'm Keith Viken. I am a realtor with Weichert Realtors, Welch & Company, and we're down at 152nd and Metcalf. Currently, I am in new homes. I just closed out one new home subdivision, and I'm working in a brand new home subdivision called Chapel Hill Villas. And then I also have what I like to call is BYOB, Bring Your Own Builder, to a subdivision over in the Missouri side that is the woods of Somerset. And so there, people pick the lot and they pick the builder. Before I came to real estate, I was in IT. I did systems administration. I was a network administrator, an email person. I was certified with what's called a CISSP for computer security. At the place I used to work at, it's like, just give it to Keith. He'll do it. He'll figure it out. So
Keith,
I learned by fire.
Keith, didn't you go to the old DeVry?
Yes, I did.
What was the name of that?
When I started with DeVry, it was called MIT, Missouri Institute of Technology.
Oh, wow.
And we were on state line. Half of it was in Kansas, half of it was in Missouri.
That's funny.
That Thanksgiving is when we moved to the place that was on Holmes. It was a brand new building, and we switched the name to DeVry then.
And then I came along in 1988 and went to DeVry and finished out. That's pretty cool. Hey Keith, you've done some really extraordinary work with. You mentioned Somerset, and I don't want to brush over that because that looks nothing like it did before you started on that project. Talk a little bit about that, because it's been a phenomenal job that you've done in terms of stepping into something that I think it was actually your first brush with new construction as well, right? Talk a little bit about what you've done and how you really have gotten that thing going.
Yeah, actually, it was one of the agent that had it was moving up to a bigger community, and so Kent Welch asked me to step in, take over. Basically, it's not like a typical subdivision like you would see in Johnson County, where you've got all these marketers, you've got builders, you've got spec homes, everything like that. I had one spec home that had been on the market for about a year, and I came in, and it was a great home, but I was able to get it under contract within 4 months after taking over. And then I started thinking outside of the box on how to do stuff. I started putting up bandit signs around the area. I think one of the best things was I put up some flags on the sign of the subdivision, because I knew people that lived over there. It's like they lived there all their lives and they didn't even know it existed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that tells you something, that if somebody that's lived in that neighborhood and it's just down the street from Avila College, and
Mm-hmm.
people that lived there didn't even know it was there, but I try to think outside the box all the time.
And the reason why it's so interesting to me is that my mother-in-law lived on just south of there. My wife's aunt, lives just north of there, right off of, I think it's Warnell, right? Right
Yes.
off that road. And so I have driven by there hundreds of times and had no clue what that was. And it wasn't until, I met you and you started talking about you had that opportunity that I finally make the right turn or left turn up in there to actually see what was there. And it was, it looks nothing like it is today. So, great job on that. You really jumped in there and just, did some really good marketing, did some really good reaching out, connecting and researching. And I think one of the things you do extremely well, Keith, is you are a researcher. You do your homework. You do your homework indeed. So that's the one thing that's impressed me about you, since I've known you, is you are well prepared before you step into something. Yeah,
but sometimes I can over prepare too. I can get that analysis paralysis, that a network engineer.
Yeah, but it's better to be over prepared than under, and that's good, because it's hard to do that research. It's hard to get prepared and do that research. Some people just jump into it.
Well, you know what though? There's a lot to said about, because I kind of did just jump into it. I had to come up with documents that weren't there and everything like that. But I appreciate Ken Welch for giving me the opportunity to see what I can do and show him that, I'm not afraid to think outside the box and do things differently to get the job done.
That's an important thing, thinking outside the box. Always thinking of something new.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Keith keeps things fresh. And, I think your background being in IT and always being, front facing has really helped you be extremely successful in the business. And, taking something that was, virtually nothing. I mean, that thing was pretty much just a piece of dirt. And how many homes do you have up in there now?
Well, there was a total of 6 homes. 5 were live-ins. The other one wasn't. And now we've got, I've got 4 construction projects going on right now. And we just closed on 1 as well. And it still is a challenge, but having the construction going on shows that there's activity, and that helps sell lots a lot better. Absolutely.
Well, that's great, man. That's awesome. Well, welcome and great job. I really appreciate you taking some time to come join us. I know you personally and have known you for a while and know what a great job you do and whatever you do. And so we wanted to have you come to how do you leverage it? How do you use it? So if you wouldn't mind, you and Carlos are more of the experts. Why don't you guys just jump in and let's talk a little bit about what is Google for my business, why I should have it, and how can I leverage it to make more money in what I do?
Well, Google My Business is just a free thing that Google provides to business owners. It's set up too well, I don't think, for a realtor, because they want it to kind of mimic a brick and mortar shop. So realtors have to find creative ways to get around some of the what I perceive as a hindrance on their part. Like Google wants you to have defined hours. Well, a realtor really doesn't have defined hours at all. Mm-hmm. I know Carlos's page, it says open 24 hours a day. I'm not willing to do that because I have a life of my own.
Hey, that would probably explain why I got a call this week. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I got it at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, well, you said you're open, so you're be able to take that phone call.
I told my wife, I'm like, who is calling this in the 2:00 in the morning?
But you advertise it that way.
I do. I do.
I noticed that Carlos does have one thing that I don't have, which I've been working on, is he's got on his page, he's got where you can request an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
So that can overcome, the hours. But it's just a way to get your name out there so people can search you out and find you. I've actually gotten leads off of my my Google business page.
Really? Wow.
Yes. It's still a work in progress for me, because, as Tamika Bryant says, you always got to have a niche.
Yes.
So I'm looking at expanding into 2 more niches right now. And so I was going through my Google business page and seeing how I could revise that and work those onto my page.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, and the thing is, I got three phone calls this week. I got one last week off of Google, and then last month I got two. I got 2, and believe it or not, I know it works because they Googled commercial real estate agent, and I popped up, and they called me. So I know that it works. It's not working, don't get me wrong. It's not like that's where I get all my business, but to get 3 this month and a couple last month. And then I got one probably in July, June or July. I can't remember what month it was, but I got one back then too. And, so I know that it's working. It's just a matter of getting it out there.
And it's not something that you can just leave, set it, and forget it.
Right.
You can't do that. You've got to stay active on it. One thing that helps you is driving reviews to it, asking your clients to do a review for you. Like me, because to get them there, you got to make it as easy as possible to get a review. So what I did is figured out what the URL is for them to click on to do the review. And it's a really long URL, or web address, I should say, for the people that don't know what a URL is. So what I've done is I've gone out and created short web addresses to make it easier for them. And then I'll ask them to give me a review on Google Pages, Zillow, Realtor.com, and Facebook. And a lot of them, you have to have accounts. And me being an old IT security person, I get if they don't want to create an account to give me a review. So then I'll just say, if at the minimum, can you just give me a recommendation on Realtor.com, because a recommendation, they don't have to have an account there to get a review.
Yeah.
Keith, you mentioned shortening the URL. What site do you use? Alley, which looks like it's been bought up by Hootsuite, and which one do you use to shorten the URL?
I use the original BitLink, I think it is.
Bitly? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can create an account there, because you know me, I'm very frugal. I'm frugal. If I don't have to pay for something, I don't want to. And with that, I created an account, and I've created, those short URLs just to make it easier, and you can customize them.
Mm-hmm.
So that, you can leave what's called the domain part up front, but you can then at the end of it, you can say like Google review for Keith or something like that. What I use, just to make it easier for my clients.
Yeah, that's a good point, because those long URLs, sometimes people get lost. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I wanted to just kind of make sure you got that one.
And the biggest thing is you're exactly right. I mean, that's what Stephen and I do on this thing. It's, people are frugal, they don't want to spend money. So we try. That's the biggest part is that kills me is that when people are trying to grow a business, that they feel that, and when they don't do it, or when they have that mindset, this isn't going to work, or this isn't a good business. It's not because that there wasn't the right tools out there, because that's the whole reason why we do this, is because there's free tools out there. There's ways of growing your business without spending a ton of money. Now, I know that you do got to spend money to level up, but you could get all your basics done to grow a business and to get noticed and to get business and to start growing. And then once you get all that money in and start getting all those sales in, then you can start spending a little bit of money to do that next level.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we spend money. You just have to spend it very wisely.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So Keith, you were talking about reviews and driving reviews to your Google business page and using the shortener. Why do reviews help? Why is that important to drive reviews to your Google business page?
It's one of the analytics that Google Business uses to help rank you. So people put stuff out there, they don't know, if you're really there or not. But when they're seeing that you're getting reviews, that's a good thing. It's showing that you're active, you're doing a good job, and everything like that. And that's why you got to do it. So if you search me, oh, you did. I've tried to, because I have a unique name, it's kind of easy to find me. And so you can see me on the right-hand side, well, I guess it's the left-hand side of the page. And that's what they see. Like I've got a 4.8 review right now. And I actually made it so I would get not a 5-star. One of my clients, I asked them not to give me all 5 stars. And they're like, why? I'm like, because if you always are getting 5 stars, no one's perfect. And if all you've got is 5 stars, it can make people and systems think that you're having people go out and do it on purpose. So I did the opposite. I went out and did on purpose to give me a lower ranking, and they didn't want to, but I finally convinced them it's okay, that it's not going to affect me, but I don't get that 5-star all the time, because no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. But they want to help you, and they think, oh, it's better that way. So, that's why you can see I got 4.8, but I did it on purpose.
Got it.
Since we're talking about reviews, one thing when you're using Google Business Pages is once you get a review out there, you're going to get an email. Google's going to notify you that somebody left a review. You want to go as quickly as possible. You don't have to do it the same day, but within a couple of days, you want to reply back to that review, and you want to thank them for the review. You just want to reply back no matter what. If it's a bad review, you need to address that too. If it's a bad review and you never helped them, you want to say something like, hey, I don't show in my records where you were a client of ours. Can you please give me more information to help me so we can correct the information? Even if you didn't do anything wrong, but you still got a bad review, you just want to be humble and accept it and say, what can we make? How could I have made it better for you? But you want to address reviews, because that helps Google ratings.
Yep, and that's exactly right, because so I own a mail and copy store, okay? So I have mailbox rentals, right? So businesses out there, and this summer was a very rough summer for us. But they have businesses out there that have our PO box number, so they use our address as a virtual address. People would Google their address at the bottom of their website, and they would go and review them, and they would go to our page and they would review it. And we got a lot of bad reviews this summer. And and it killed us. I mean, it was just like explain to these people that is us, because that's a different company. We're a mailbox. We have mailboxes, so it has no association with us. But we got bad reviews because of the businesses that were using our mailbox. So you got to address those right away.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Sorry,
and that's where Google makes a can't distinguish, because you've got one address, they've got another address, and they're either using it as a box number or door number or unit number, and Google doesn't distinguish it between that, because they are just thinking as a brick and mortar store. They want you to think beyond the box, but they haven't thought beyond box themselves.
That's funny.
Right.
Well, I like the fact that, you're talking about, Google and the power of Google. I think we all understand, or most of us should understand, the power of Facebook. But, Google is a mammoth. It's a mammoth. I think most searches occur through Google, right? And so whenever they're searching for real estate, realtor, Overland Park, just looking at your different search mechanisms. I mean, you've got everything from real estate in Overland Park, licensed realtor, Weichert. You've got real estate agent in a number of areas. So people should understand and elaborate more, Keith, as well. But people should understand that, you could come up as well when people are looking for real estate in Overland Park. They don't even have to put Keith Viken, right?
No. And that's, you can put the services that you work in on your Google business page too. It will come up. Now, how well Google uses that when it comes to Google Maps, it really doesn't use it that much at all. But people can, if they would click on your Google business page, they could see all the areas that you service. Like for me, I've got over 12 that I've got listed in there. If you want it to come up more, is where you can actually add to your name, like a location. It's kind of a gray area there, because you're only supposed to be using your business name. But like if you say Keith Viken and then do dash Overland Park, Leeward, Mission, you can potentially get more searches there. But Google could also penalize you a little bit. Most of the stuff I've learned from is either from YouTube or a great guy by the name of Kevin Mokel at 180 Marketing, who helps a lot of real estate agents as well. And he's even said that, he sees people putting all that stuff in there and it's working, but he also says he doesn't know when and come back and bite them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. Kevin, we love Kevin at 180 Insurance. He's good. He's very good, very helpful. Put some really good, helpful information. We probably need to see if we can get Kevin to join us, Kevin and Christy, because Christy's his partner, and she's fantastic as well from a service standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So we probably should try to get him. But no, you're right. I think that's important that people understand that, the more content you have on your Google business page as well, Google's gonna give you some credit for that when people are searching, right? So if you have like you've got properties in here, and those properties have Overland Park, Leawood, right? So homes for sale. So they're going to pick that up when people are searching those. And because you have a business page, Google might send them to you, right? You've got reviews, you got all the things they're looking for. They may send them to you. You may get what's called organic traffic.
Exactly.
Presence.
But one thing people have to remember there is you have to be consistent. Okay. You've got to be consistent across the board, because if you use one number one place, a different number at different places, it's not consistent. Google's not going to help you. But as long as you keep everything consistent, then it's going to help you quite a bit. But you have to be consistent across the board. And another thing is, I still got to work on my my website. because if you can, don't use stock photos. Get your own photos of the areas, because that also helps too. Like if you notice on the my Google business page, you're going to see that same house photograph on my Facebook business page. It's on. I use it constantly, and that photograph is not that. I haven't been able to switch that one out yet. That one actually is a friend of mine. It was her house. Her husband's a builder, and I love that house. And she goes, "Here, Keith, you can use it." And so, you have to be unique. You got to be organic and stop using stock stuff if at all possible.
Good point. Very good point.
And the biggest part is the stock stuff. People don't understand that is the stock, those pictures that you put online. I don't know if you know this, Keith, but if you don't, when you file and save those images and those files that you put up on Google or anything you ever post online, if you don't have those file names saved as something that is going to be searchable on Google, it won't be found. So that's another way of like those stock images people don't realize is that they just upload those into their accounts. And I mean any social media accounts, because Google pulls from everything that you post. So if you don't have those pictures labeled, save as, and rename them in the file folder, and if you upload those pictures and you have them named, then it's easier to be found on Google.
Yep.
But there's a lot of people that just put those stock images on their stuff, and they don't realize that stock image that they just posted in there, you're giving them the link. You're giving them, it's going to link back to them.
Yeah, they're going to get the credit, and that's part of the reason why I pulled this up too. If you look at a website and you click on View Source, there's a lot of meta tags and stuff like that in here, and the name of files of those images. Like Carlos, I didn't realize that until you told me that on one of our episodes, like saving the videos and saving the images and renaming them. So for the longest, I was just posting an image that may have been a stock photo, and whoever was getting the credit when they would search, right, it wouldn't necessarily come up. So that's a good point. That's because of all those meta tags and all that stuff, and the names that are embedded in the headers and all that stuff. That's Google picks that up. That's how Google oftentimes does pick up and search stuff as well, is by looking at the source, the true source. So if you go to a website and look at the page source, you can see on Keith's page, Overland Park Homes for Sale is one of the things that he's got in his header. And so when you look for him and you see over here where now all of a sudden there goes Overland Park Real Estate Agent, right? It's picking up the source on his web page as well too. So lot has to do with that too.
Yeah, and you need to make sure that it's all branded. You notice that when I send you any videos or images that I send you, they labeled with their names on them.
Yeah. I do. I noticed that. Again, I didn't realize that at the time, but once you told me that, then I started noticing that, and I started doing that big time too.
Well, and what Carlos says is about branding. That's what you have to do, is you have to brand yourself. Even if you're working with
Company,
brokerage house or anything, you've got to brand yourself, because realtors will move from one brokerage to another, and they've got to be able to still distinguish themselves. And that's something I learned my own way, is that I started branding myself. Like the web page is that's my web page. I went out, got the URL, found a very inexpensive company that would do what I wanted to do. And it wasn't that much money. A lot. I mean, it's not that I can't create my own website, because I did for the Woods of Somerset, but for a real estate agent to be able to tie into an IDX search and that's too much trouble for one person to do. But like, I've created a community website for the Woods of Somerset, and that didn't cost me anything. And I created that from scratch just by watching some YouTube videos, and I created it. And it was like, you did? I'm like, yeah, it's not that hard. You gotta pick and choose your battles on which one's worth spending the money on and what isn't. And if you're a real estate agent, you really need to have your own website. That way you can, if you move, all you have to do is change your logo and you're still in compliant with the state laws, but yet people still can find you. And that's what Google business page helps you do, is brand yourself.
Hey, Keith, Carlos got a question here from our guy, Justin. Someone is uncomfortable asking for a review. What's a good way to ask for one? Text, auto emails? How do you ask the clients for a review?
Actually, the way I do it is, like, after I've built up that rapport and say they're a buyer, I start talking to them about my business, everything, about referrals. And I kind of mention about how I like to get reviews. And so if it's a buyer, if I'm working with a buyer, after we've gone through the home inspection, that's actually when I will ask them for a review, because their mind is still focused on the transaction. We haven't closed yet, so they're still working with me. And that's when I ask them for the review. I don't harp on it or anything. I might ask one a couple of times, but that's it. After closing, if they haven't done anything, I may reach out to them once, because I don't want to be a nag. I don't want to be pushy. That's just not who I am. But a realtor I know, when I was talking to her, because I saw she'd always get a lot of reviews, she goes, Keith, ask for it right after the home inspection. You haven't closed it out. You're still working with each other. That's the best time to do it. And if something's come up and you've been able to solve that issue so they still can close on the deal, it just makes it in there, puts it in their mind and puts it up front.
That's good. That's good. Carlos, what about you?
Don't ask me. So Keith, how do you just ask them to do the review, but you were saying about the URL, how do you ask them for it? How do you have them do it?
Well, in the very beginning, like Zillow, we hate Zillow, but yet we need to use Zillow in our own ways. Like for reviews, people go out to Zillow, they look at people, they'll see you. So that's why I use Zillow as one of my targets for a review. In the beginning, I was using Zillow to send the emails out, and then I started looking into, they were sending them to a URL, and it was always the same web address. So I copied it, put it into the web shortener to shorten it up to give it something like me. Same way with Realtor.com. They always was using the same URL to take them to my profile there to do the reviews. So I took those web addresses, had them shortened. In the beginning, I was like sending out an email for each thing, and then I just composed everything into one email using those short URLs inside the email addresses. So all they'd have to do is click on it, and it'd take them exactly to the spot they needed to, and then they can just fill out the rest of the information.
So the answer to your question, Stephen, there's a lot of different ways, and for somebody that is uncomfortable for asking for reviews, there's tools out there. Like you can use the Google tools to send out links. You can use different, because like he's a real estate agent, but there's other businesses out there that are, how do you do it? Well, I did the same thing. I went out and bought a URL, and I can link that long link into a smaller link, and you can just send it out when you send out your thank you cards that you should be sending out. Somebody that's uncomfortable for asking for a review, you can do it however you ask or however you thank them for doing business. You can, if you thank them via text, say, hey, thank you for the business. If that's the way you do it, then send a little link at the bottom of the text saying, hey, just if you got 5 minutes, 10 minutes, fill out a quick review. If you send them a thank you via email, then send them out a link. If you send out a card, have a URL at the bottom of the card, the thank you card. Say, hey, if you would go to this website online, if you take 5 minutes and fill out an review, you can ask just in a general way if you're scared to ask for the reviews. It's a smooth way to do it. It's an easy way to do it, but there are different tools that you can use online that you can just send out a quick review, send out a quick link.
Yeah, and you guys covered some really good ideas and suggestions. Those are great responses. I had two friends. One sets it up in the beginning, and says, "Listen, I'm interested in delivering above and beyond, 4.9, 4.8 service out of 5-star. And if at any time during the process, you're not getting that or experiencing that, will you please let me know that? Because if I deliver against that, I would like to send you a review and get some good feedback from you, and nice, non-threatening way to do it. And then email and a text is how it goes out, how she does it afterwards. And then I have another friend of mine that does a little bit as well, Keith, what you mentioned, in the loan officer world, people are extremely excited at pre-approval. They're excited at initial approval when it comes out of underwriting. And when we get that initial approval at underwriting, he sends out his survey then. Hey, listen, your loan's approved. We got a couple things we need. This is what I need to get back from you. Also, here goes a link to a survey. Please fill that out. So he gets his at the excitement stage as well. And, he gets it there too. So those are two really good suggestions that two people that get a lot of reviews. And like you said, Keith, they get them from Zillow as well, because Zillow is a source for people. It's a source for people, whether we like it or not.
It is. And by getting reviews on Zillow, it actually helps you out when they're doing searches.
Mm-hmm.
The Google business page and Google itself will go out and show those reviews and show the stars when they're searching you out as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, they will. So it's important to do that. Having that Google business page, the reviews are critical because it will help. It will help Google elevate us up on the searches, and I don't think people realize that. So that's why I thought it was important for us to get you here this week, talk a little bit about that and the importance of it, and then walking out of here. I know my homework this weekend is to set up a Google business page.
Well, once you get your Google business page, you can't forget about it. So, like an example is I've got the Chapel Hill Villas out in Southern Overland Park. And before we even have a house that's under frame or anything like that, I went out, I set it up. Now, there's one thing you have to know that you didn't have to do it when I set up my Google page, but now you do, is you have to have an address that they will send a card to verify who you are. And since I was using the address for the Chapel Hill Villas that we were going to be using as the office, well, I need to post the postman out there. And so I was talking to him. I'm like, okay, this is what I need. How can I get it so the post office will get me that postcard so we can verify who we are, because Google Maps doesn't show it as a valid street even. Other sites show the streets there, but Google doesn't. And that's who Google uses. So he goes, okay, Keith, send it in. Tell me what the address is. And as long as I'm not on vacation, I'll get it to you. I'll make sure that you can get it.
Wow.
And I got it, and I got the code in. And so that just helped us. So after that, after I was verified, I started just posting the construction pictures of the paired villas going up. And that also helped get reviews as well. So I was kind of lax there because we're in this middle stage where everybody wants to see the finished product, but yet we weren't happy with the finished product. Getting the final photographs done today. So I'll start posting pictures again of the interior of the villas, and I'll start getting more traffic again, because the more pictures or videos you can post out there, you'll get feedback. They'll say you've gotten this many likes, or people have seen your photos this many times.
Yeah. You get notifications. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, good stuff. Anything else any other tips, tidbits you think we should share with everyone before we wrap up on Google Business? I put on there that you can obviously you get a free website. You've got review capabilities. Anything else? Go ahead, Carlos. Go ahead, Keith.
The biggest part is that everybody needs to fill that out. Just like what he says, it can't go. You fill it. You open it up. Steve, you got to set one up this weekend. But when like I told you before, I've said it numerous times, that you open that thing up and you can't forget it. You have to keep doing it. You have to keep posting on it. And I post every day. I try to post. I think I post every day. I try to post every day on that thing. And it feels like nobody is looking at it. It feels like you're not doing anything with it. But trust me, you are, because you post something or you put something out there and you don't get 1 million likes, or you don't get 10 likes, or you don't get loves or comments, doesn't mean that people aren't seeing that content. So you have to do it. You have to open up that Google page and you have to use it. I put pictures, when I get new pictures of me or anything that I'm doing, I put them up there. It's like a little photo album for me. I posted probably, I don't know, I probably posted Sunday, I probably posted 10 pictures in there.
Just drop them in there. Just drop them in there.
Yep. Same way with videos. Everybody loves videos.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing with videos is no one uses the same format, the amount of time, the amount of files. Everybody uses it differently. So videos can be a little bit tricky because of that, but it's still worth using videos whenever you can. That, and also posting little blogs on your Google page too helps. You can do advertisements, or you can just do blogs. Like for the villas, I took a screenshot of permits being approved, and I'm like, okay, we're starting, stuff like that, just to help drive traffic.
So you got a free blog on there too as well?
Yeah, let me show you, Steven. I'm going to share my screen real quick.
Okay.
So let me show you this real quick. So basically, I have all my pages. So I have multiple pages here. So I have a lot of my pages that I manage and I use, or my staff manages and uses, but we have multiple pages here. Add, like on your regular Google page, there's Blogger right here. And it's free. Everything is free right here. All these Google tabs you need to use. And see, I post, this is all my blog stuff. So I continuously put stuff here. Doesn't mean that people are reacting or seeing it, but I'm always putting stuff there. I'm making sure I'm using hashtags. I'm making sure I'm using, I'm branding the pictures, the images. So I'm always trying to use these free tools to be seen. Look at all time, 642 people have seen this. It's not a big thing for me, but it does work. Like you can see statistics of how many people are seeing this stuff. And I don't know, to be honest with you, I'm not an expert at this thing. I don't know where they go, but I know that it can be found on Google the more you do it. Keith, I don't know if you know where all this goes, but but I know that the more I post, the more people see it.
Yeah. What I try to do is use one central location, and my central location is my website. So if I'm posting something within the Google business page, I'll do like an advertisement or just I don't go to the blog section because you can do postings within Google business page itself. And then I'll do short little things, but then have a URL that will take them to like a longer document on my website. And
So, but
I try and funnel everybody back to my website is the way I do it.
and from my understanding is that you can put all this stuff. From my understanding, you can put this like my blog. I can link my blog to your personal website.
Yeah, there's ways to do that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think I do that. So let's just this is just one of my web pages, and I think I do. I just want to make sure. It's moving slow because we're on this.
And like me, I've got to start. I need to blog more, but as I tell my clients, English isn't my first language, but it's my language because I am so bad at English. I can't even claim it. But
hey, at least you know how to do it too. You know, I mean, wow, my website's busy right now.
See, that's good.
I didn't even notice that.
Way to see that.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Carl, I wasn't going to point you out online, but you also on your Google page, you say make an appointment, but when you click on it, you can't make an appointment.
Yeah, I'm in the process. My people are in the process of fixing that. They when it says make an appointment, it's supposed to go to my Office 365 that I have a planner on there that has all my schedule.
Yeah, and
so it's broken right now.
Yeah,
but there's things that I knew that I knew that it's broken and I'm fixing it. But I mean, I watch my stuff, and I'm glad because there's some times where there's people. Somebody messaged me the other day that my Big Mouth Prince site was not working, and I didn't know that. Usually I try to test everything, at least once a week, or at least, a couple times a week. I try to get on and make sure everything's working. Because on a daily basis, I'm always posting. So I always go and look to make sure it all updates, and if it doesn't update, then I know something's wrong. So I knew that link was bad, and I had a different planner, and I'm using my Office 365 now. So I'm in the process of putting it back.
Well, once people get to a certain stage, like me, I've got my own page. There's also ways that you can set up monitors that cost hardly anything that will go out and monitor the page too. And if something goes wrong, that it will notify you. Because the laboratory I worked at, we were very frugal. And I think that's where my frugalness comes from, is the company I work for, they could afford a lot, but it's like, why are you going to buy like a Jaguar when a Ford will get you to the same place? You don't need all those extra bells and whistles. And they were just a very frugal company, but they never had debt or anything. And so I can't think of what it was now, but we actually went out and found a website monitoring site that didn't cost us anything, and that I could actually say it would check it from different geographical locations around the world even. And so for us, we don't need around the world capabilities. We did there, but just like testing it from New York, testing it from LA, testing it from Texas, just to make sure everything's working. And if it's not, it can let you know. And that's what I mean. Mm-hmm. Ways to do stuff that don't cost a lot of money, that you don't have to go out and check. constantly just to make sure your website's up and things like that.
And there's a business page. Actually, there's a Facebook page for Google Small Business as well that's set up too. So on Facebook, so you can you can go there and check it out and kind of have some information on there. And so some good stuff. I just noticed that they actually have a Facebook presence. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
absolutely.
In 2011, my wife and I got invited to Washington to Google. And we got noticed because when we first started our business, the first thing we did was Google. And we used Google My Small Business. And we used it, and they picked us out. They picked one business from each state. We had 50 different states out there in Washington, and our business got picked because that's what we used a lot. And I don't know how we got picked, but that's all we used was that. But we got invited out there, and they taught us all kinds of stuff about Google and how to post things, and like the Google Trends, and you can use that to find out what people are Googling and where they're at, or how popular they are. So it was a lot of fun to go out there and see what they actually do or how it works. It was a great experience. They took us out there. We spent 3 days out there, and we learned a lot from Google.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. The Google Trends, Google AdWords, knowing what stuff to tag and hashtag and all that stuff to put into your blogs and put in your pictures. Again, people are out there constantly searching on Google. So, if you understand and fully leverage that stuff, you'll fall into what that's called, again, that organic traffic, right? Free.
Yeah.
You said free.
And actually using those, the keywords, and that you can actually use that within your Google business page when you're describing either your services or describing your business. So that can help you a lot if you write up your descriptions that carefully. That will give you a boost too that way.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Put my screen back up there, Stephen.
All right.
I want to show you this. So you see, I don't even realize, but there's 1,040 people that have searched that in 1 month, and it's 81% of it. And then this is my customers who have reached by my product or something that they've Googled. Like I get a lot of calls off Google for my big mouth prints for shirts. Saturdays are a big day for me. I get a ton of phone calls on Saturday of who makes shirts. So I get a lot of inquiries from Google from that. Mainly probably because they're the last minute ones. I need something made.
That's your Google Analytics, right? Analytics tool kind of give you some insight.
Well, this is just the insights on my Google page. Yeah. There is another Google Analytics.
Right.
But this is just on this page, and you can see that when you do post things, that it does work. You can tell that it gives you all kinds of statistics. So you can use this thing all the time, but you should be using it all the time. And it might not feel like, there's days I'm like, man, why am I doing this? But I know I got to do it.
Well, and that goes to what we say. It's like allocate some time, allocate a day, whatever, to that way you don't have to feel like you're not able to do it. If you allocate some time on your calendar, a day, a couple hours, an hour a day, 15 minutes a day, whatever, then it's a little more manageable to do it. And you can be intentional about it as well. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. And you can see my photos are big. And see, I just go in here, Keith, I don't know if you have your photos. See, like I go into photos and I just upload. I was going to say I must not. I upload just all kinds of photos all the time.
Yeah, I'm lacking in that area on my realtor side. Not on the development side, but I am on my own website that I need to do better at that. I'm not a person that likes to be in pictures. That's why.
And you don't have to, and there's people that you don't have to put your pictures, but I tried to put, all kinds of stuff in here, even, stuff that doesn't pertain to me, but my wife and I mean, just that way people see who I am. But I put videos up here. I put interior pictures, exterior pictures. I don't know what happened to my interior ones. I need to find those. I make sure you fill in the blanks, Stephen. You got to fill in all the blanks.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
But this whole thing, and then I use this website, but it's not like it's a must. It's free. If somebody doesn't have it, it's not this high end like Keith's websites are like, but it at least gives you a spot to refer to.
Yeah, that's all that matters. People need to find a way to find you, and no better place to find you than on Google. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
right.
So all right, well, we need to wrap up. Keith, where can we find you? How do people find Keith Viken?
That's just it. You just said it. Just type in my name, Keith Viken.
Go to Google and type in. That's what Carlos always says too. It's like, just go to Google and type in Carlos Samalas.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've got a very unique name. It's nothing long or hard, and so I come up. All my stuff comes up on the front page. You got my telephone numbers. They have access to my websites, all that stuff.
Awesome. And so we saw
it should be. You got to make yourself known, because I can tell you, before I started in real estate, if you tried to Google me, you would not find me at all, because my previous job was IT security, and I made sure I wasn't coming up on anybody's radar. I know what can happen, but now I have to put myself out there. So I've had to retrain my brain of, okay, you got to do it.
Absolutely. You got to do it. That was the first step, right? Just deciding to do it. Like for me, was getting on Facebook and actually using the Facebook page. So now my next step is to get out on Google. Carlos, I just did the same thing. I Googled you, and there you go. You're there, right? So your presence is very well known. Right. Both of you guys are very well known when people go to the most important search place in the world. So excellent stuff. Well, thank you for joining us, Keith. And it's been great, man. Good information. I knew it would be great. And now you got to hold me accountable to get my Google business page updated.
Oh, that's not a problem.
I know it isn't for you. I look forward to the email or the text. Hey, how you doing?
I don't see you yet.
All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you. Have a great weekend. And next weekend is Thanksgiving. We'll still be here on Follow Up Friday, right, Carlos?
That's right. I'm available.
It's Black Friday, Follow Up Friday next Friday. So we'll be here. Maybe we can get Rosie Ruiz, who will be out shopping, no doubt, to join us on location.
She doesn't shop. Next week is going to be a good day to follow up with your clients for sure on Friday. People are out shopping, and have some fun with them. That's right. What are you buying? A reason to call them, a reason to message them. What are you getting? What are you shopping for? What's any big sales?
That's right.
Just find a reason to contact your clients.
That's right. We talk about that every holiday. So, okay, guys, well, I'll let you get to your Friday. I got some follow-ups to do as well. Appreciate you joining. Take care.
Thank you.
Keith.
See you later.
Bye.